The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
I know you, your past, your future.
Ladies and gentlemen, gamers alike, fellow Imperials, welcome to January 2019 and the Xbox Empire. Joining me yet again for this episode is Mr. Donnie Reese, the Darth Maul to my, I don't know, let's call me the Palpatine of this scenario. So how are you doing, Donnie?
Doing well, man. Happy Sunday to you. I can dig the Darth Maul reference. It's got the dual-wielding lightsaber thing. It's friggin' awesome.
Dude, Darth Maul was fantastic. Episode 1, for all the dislike that it gets, we got an amazing Darth Maul out of that. And, you know, the double-sided staff lightsaber, the Duel of the Fates, Qui-Gon Jinn, you know, it's a great movie. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is unfairly criticized a lot.
I'm going to derail this tangent before it goes too far, but I will echo your sentiments, and I will say that when I watched that movie at the time, I was just happy that we had new Star Wars, and at the time, it did not bother me. So, you know, that before we had internet and Twitter where we all could share and groupthink our opinions together and rally in our hatred of things, I didn't mind it when I first watched it. It was fun.
Right. Well, this is not a Star Wars podcast as much as I would like it to be. This is an Xbox podcast.
It could be.
It could be. I mean, listeners, you tell us. Do you want Star Wars or do you want Xbox? We can go either way.
There's Star Wars games. Like, it could be.
There are. And the best place to play Star Wars games is on Xbox One. Did you know that?
I did. Yep.
So many Star Wars games on Xbox One that you can play via back compat and all that good stuff. Anyway, Donnie, Mr. Reese, how is life down south in Georgia?
It's pretty good. It's just nasty out. I know you're sitting in the middle of a snowdrift, so I can't compare misery. But we set record-breaking like rainfall this month, and it just continues to do so. It's just like last night we were like right around the freezing mark, and it just rained all day and all night, and so it's just muddy and gross and cloudy, and everything's dead, and it's just yucky. A good time to hole up in the house and play some video games, which is what I've been doing. And I've been going through a bunch of new stuff, trying to clear the decks for some things that are coming out soon, most notably that Remake 2 that launches next week. I'm so excited. On Xbox in particular, though, I've been playing Darksiders, the newest Darksiders game, Darksiders 3. And it's what the internet says it is. I mean, there's nothing really that I can bring to it. It's not awful. It's not like a terrible game. It's not. There's a part of me that would like to like compare it to like Recore. Like Recore, I just don't think was like good. You know, like it was playable, but I don't think it was really good. There's nothing like really good about it. Darksiders is maybe just like a little bit better than Recore, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with it. It plays fine. It's just like the camera. It just feels kind of old. It's got a nice new style update, but you know, you run around, you smash stuff, and you upgrade your skill chart to go around and smash more stuff. You've got pretty predictable bosses. You know, the difficulty level is just harder than it has been in the past. But to be honest with you, it's the story and the lore is what really kind of let me down. But I did play 7 or 8 hours of it. I got through the first few chapters. You know, really got into it. I've been a long time Darksiders fan. I've always kind of enjoyed them. And I did get this one because I wanted to give it a go, even though all the internet and reviews and everything told me not to. And they were probably right. It's probably it's a budget game, you know?
Yeah.
If you pick up Darksiders 3 for $20, you'll probably have some fun with it. It's just not worth a $60 investment. In a landscape where we have so many games to play and so many choices, it just doesn't hold up.
Mm-hmm. So when you started it up, what was your initial reaction, like within the first 5-10 minutes?
The camera was bad. That was probably my first one. It needs a better lock-on mechanic because, I mean, in a lot of ways, the environments are really fantastic. I really enjoy I've always liked this. There's, for listeners of PSVG, there's probably a common theme that you can find with games that I love, and that's like the post-apocalyptic, overgrown, destructive things, like any type of pandemic or world's end game, especially as nature starts to reclaim things, like anything like that, I'm typically into, and this game has that, and that's a good thing. So the visuals were pretty spot on the moment I joined it, but the camera is bad because it's like Tomb Raider. You're in these open areas, but you take combat from all angles. So not being able to snap the camera directly in a direction is limiting, and the game is just not very forgiving. And I think that's kind of, we see a lot of games doing this right now. Like they're trying to make it hard, or trying to make the players feel like they earn it. What was it? The start of this generation, like a common theme from gamers was that games were too easy and everything was, hand-holdy and tutorialized and all that. So this game really feels like a move against that, and it's just the camera and the mechanics I don't think are good enough to warrant that direction because it's not forgiving enough for to be constantly being shot behind you and you can't turn around to see who you are because you're fighting the people in front of you. So I didn't die a lot. I'm not saying that. I don't think it's too hard. You definitely do it. It's just, I don't know, it just feels old.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's like an old game with new resolution. But it very much plays like, like an Xbox 360 hack and slash game.
So with not being able to turn around and see who's shooting you behind you, is that more of a, your sensitivity on your sticks isn't high enough, or there's just no snap around?
There's no, so you have like a lock-up mechanic, but you have to hold it, and you can only lock on to people that you see. So I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, the immediate thing that I always go to is Zelda, and it's the reason why I like Darksiders, because it's like Zelda from like a combat and really from an explorative nature. They're Zelda-esque. Zelda has a lock-on thing. You see it, you lock on. You can snap your camera direction, right behind you really quick, and it just feels fluid and snappy. And Darksiders feels slow. It just didn't feel like that. For all of the crazy whips and chains and things that I was throwing, it just didn't feel right. So anyway, that's really what I've been playing. I've been playing that. I messed around with Wildlands. We played that last month for Xbox Community Game Night. I tried playing it by myself. Not nearly as much fun playing it alone for me as I had playing with you and Mo. But I've tried that, and then I continued on with Gears 4. I'm almost at the end. A while ago, Lobo and I tried to manage to replay Gears 4, and we're going to stream it together, completely co-op. We played about half of it before life got in the way and reminded us that we can't schedule a weekly recurring date to play games.
When you realize that you're old men now? Yeah,
that we had things to do, life to do. So, yeah. But I'm almost at the end, and as I'm sure we're going to get into in this podcast, man, I loved Gears 4. I said it then, and I say it now, and on X it's better than it was, and yeah. So that's what I've been messing around with on Xbox this month.
Cool. Well, as you mentioned, I wanted to make sure I said this before we got too far. We are planning on doing another community game night. This time, though, we're going to be cross-playing, as it were, with our friends at the Board with Video Games podcast. So this month, we'll be doing, I believe the winner of the poll was Halo 5, which is a Game Pass title and a fantastic game, which looks fantastic on X as well. It's 4K 60, if I am not mistaken, on the multiplayer side. So if you have an Xbox and you would like to join us, we'll be doing that. While I'm not sure the date just yet, follow our Twitter account and we'll make sure to inform you out there. We'd love to have you guys and ladies drop by. For me, as far as what I've been playing this year, so one thing I wanted to do this year, I wouldn't necessarily call it a resolution, it was just we're going to do this, was kind of get a little bit more in my gamer score belt, because last year I didn't do much on that, and I just, it's never really been a big thing, but I have a mountain of games, and a lot of them are games that, they're not super long. So I want to give them a shot to run through them and play some of them and get some achievement points that way. So, beginning January 1st, right after the stroke of midnight, I did a few of those. So, I've had this sitting around for a long time, and I had to hook up my 360 to get to it again. And that was the Avatar: The Last Airbender. And that was like a quick 1,000 points. If anybody knows the story there, within about 5 or 10 minutes, you can get 1,000 gamer score from just booting this thing up and pressing the B button a few times. That was one of the first games on 360, and they just didn't really understand achievements at that point yet. So I've had it sitting around forever, and I was just finally like, you know what? Let's just do this and get this done with, because why not?
You're like force feeding yourself to play games.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things that it's sitting there, and it's, why do I have this? Oh yeah, I've never played it yet, and then now I can get rid of it.
Sure.
So I've also had Gwent. I've done the preview for a long time, but now it's in full release. So I wanted to try that, and I played a little bit of the Gwent release that was a standalone. It's free to play. It's fine. I prefer the Gwent inside The Witcher 3 a lot better, just because it feels so right and good to me. While this is still fun and it captures a little bit of the essence, it's a lot more Hearthstone-y. It's got the animations and the stuff and all this other kind of added material that I just don't care for necessarily. Mm-hmm. So I played a little bit of that through the tutorial at least, and then I'm like, well, I'll just leave this installed. I might get the itch to go play it again. It's not bad by any means. It's just not as good as what's inside The Witcher 3. On the sale at the end of the year, I purchased the Destiny 2 expansion, Forsaken. I hadn't played Destiny 2 for a long time, probably at least over a year, and hopped back into that. That game is still pretty good as far as the fluidity and the controls and everything goes, but you really need people to play with on that game. I've been kind of playing a little bit solo, and it's not super fun. Like you said with Ghost Recon, Destiny, you need people to play with, and that's always kind of been my Achilles heel with that game. Is like, as an old man as I am, you can't find the specific time to schedule, like, hey, we're going to go play this night or that night. It's opportunistic gaming at best, and so when you're trying to get a group of friends together to play, it doesn't always work out well.
It's interesting. The only real Destiny experience I had, I played Destiny 2 about a year ago, and I was playing kind of along with Dev. Dev would watch me because I was streaming a bit of it, and he would kind of coach me through things and explain things to me. But I enjoyed playing it by myself. Quite honestly, I thought it was fun. At least the campaign. I'm assuming you already beat the campaign.
Yeah, so I beat the
original. So
original
that's what you're really talking
campaign.
about, is after the campaign, you want to play with friends, because if you're not, you're just kind of running the same thing over and over again. Right.
But with, buying the Forsaken, there is more story content there to play through. But there's a lot more content also that's not, you want people to play with.
Gotcha.
Some different strikes and missions and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I'm hoping to get some more into that. I know some of our community plays it, and so if you want to try to play a little bit of time, just let me know. Like I said, scheduling it is pretty much impossible for me to do. So
that's the thing with me, man. I like Destiny. It's really good. I mean, it plays fine. It's just the commitment that game requires for you to make is just not one that I'm willing to make.
Mm-hmm. So I also played a game called North. This is a weird little indie game. This weird game. But it was a quick 1,000 points. I played through it in about maybe 2 hours. The premise of this game is you're in this world, and you go to this place, and you're trying to get these pills, and you go see these doctors, and it's this weird little odd game that I can't recommend because they didn't let you change the vertical stick to inverted. So I had to press up the entire time to look up and down to look down, which does not feel right to me.
Go figure that. That sounds crazy, Nathan.
Well, I'm an inverted kind of guy because of when I played games back in the day. I always thought about it as flying, and so when you pull up on a stick, you pull up, and then that's how I learned, and that's what's natural to me. So, it was a quick game, weird story, kind of interesting, but not for me. I uninstalled that as soon as I got the 1K. I bought Uno off the sale, Donnie. I bought Uno.
Fantastic.
I was sitting there. I was like, You know what? Why not?
So is it the new Uno, or are we talking about the backwards compatible Uno?
Oh, this is Xbox One Uno. Yeah, it's built for X1.
Okay. How is it? Did you play the one from last gen?
I can't remember if I did or not. I think I did, because I know it was like the big thing for a long time, and it came with one of the accessories, the camera for the 360, and there was a whole hubbub about that.
Yep.
But what I've played so far, it's fine. I mean, it's Uno.
It's Uno.
But you hop online, you can play against up to 3 other people or AI, and if somebody drops out, a bot just kind of takes over right away. So it's nice. It's fine. I would play with anybody that wants to play, but it's just one of those games where, you know what, you don't know what you want to do. Let's just play some Uno. It's easy to get into.
Card games are fun, like online. That was something that I often think about we should do with one of our game nights, is we should play a few online card games. You can put on webcams, you can see each other. Yeah, it's good stuff.
We should do a poker night.
Yes.
Like a Texas Hold'em type game.
Yes, we should.
I also played some Madden 19 with the football playoffs going on right now. I wanted to play a little bit of Madden 19, so I popped that in. I played through the Longshot story mode, which is a continuation of the Madden 19 story, the same characters. It did not feel as good to me as the narrative from last time. However, I did appreciate that this time, when you were doing gameplay, you were actually doing Madden gameplay like you're used to. Whereas last time, the thing that always stands out to me is they wanted you to... They kind of made their own gameplay style during the Longshot mode. And I remember you having to kind of navigate a ball through the air.
Yep.
And
I remember that.
It just didn't feel like Madden to me, whereas this one actually does. So I like the gameplay a lot better, but the story to me just didn't quite hit like the other one did.
That's funny.
So,
the first Longshot didn't really grab me. I understood what they were going for. It had like this Friday Night Lights feel. I mean, I commended them for doing it, because I think there's a lot that can be done there. I kind of think about it in the likes of like the WWE. I kind of wish instead of doing this, they let you relive moments from like legends and games that have happened in the past.
They used to do that with Madden moments,
Exactly, yeah. And I would love for them to build like a campaign around it, and like have like some video packages, some vignettes that make you like remember it back in time and kind of let you do that. That would be really cool. The NBA does that a lot. Like they had that whole Michael Jordan thing that they sent it around. I think that might be better than what they're doing with Longshot, unless they really, really dive into Longshot and really, I think, kind of up the ante a bit.
Yeah. Some quick shot here. I did some Game Pass games. I've had Game Pass for a while, and I usually know the kind of games that I like. But I was kind of messing around with Game Pass and just downloading games willy-nilly because I wanted to just kind of give them a shot.
Sure.
Get out of my comfort zone. New year, new me, whatever. So I downloaded Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat X. It's on Game Pass. Because I like Injustice, and it's from the same team. I didn't care for I just hopped in on a match real quick and saw what I could do. I didn't care for it. I didn't like it. I just don't know what it is, whether it's just that I'm not a fan of the Mortal Kombat IP or the lore I've not invested in, whereas with DC, you've automatically got my attention at least. So, I don't know. I
think that's 90% of it. You have a very interesting opinion when it comes to fighters. I think your approval or disapproval of fighters almost like 90% based on the character that you're playing as.
This is probably true. That's why I love Smash Brothers.
Exactly.
So I played that a little bit, but I haven't gone back to it. I haven't uninstalled it yet, but I wasn't feeling it at the time, so I moved on. I also downloaded and installed a game from Game Pass called MotoGP 17. Did a couple of races in there. It's fine. I didn't really care for the physics. It didn't feel like you were riding a bike around a track. I'm so spoiled with Forza, man. Just the physics that we get in Forza are so good, and they feel so right. When a game just doesn't hit the same caliber, I can't play it. Even though I want a good motorcycle game, I just couldn't do it. So it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's fine, but it could be a lot better. Along those same lines, there's another game called MXGP 13. It's a dirt bike racing game. I used to love the dirt bike games back in like the PS2 days. I used to play those all the time, like MX Unleashed. Those were a lot of fun. This wasn't bad either. It's by the same developers that made that MotoGP 17, though. Like, the menus and everything are the exact same. You're just going around on a dirt track. So it's kind of a fun game, but it's also not a lot of depth or anything to that either.
It's funny that we have these... You bring up those old games, because we used to have... I went to, like, in there... What is this, like, Dave Mira's Freestyle, right? Wasn't that, like, one of those old things we used to do with, like, the bikes? And you had, like... So you had bikes, you had BMX, you had dirt bikes, you had rally, and they were, like, all the same game. They just, like, swapped out the models that you were controlling. Yeah. You're right. And they were all, like, basically just kind of, like, you had like, Grand Prix, time trial... And that was like, it was very, and you're right. We have like a game like a Forza comes along, and now you go back to it and it just feels pared down and just less, you get conditioned to expect more. You just made me, I don't know, I was sitting there thinking in my head, I'm running through like these box art covers of these games that I used to see back in the day. I was like, why do we have 16 versions of the same game?
That's exactly why. I also tried NBA 2K17, the Prelude. I wanted to kind of get out of my comfort zone again because, Mo talks a lot about the NBA 2K basketball games. He loves it. And so I had this one on my hard drive, so I started it up. But here's the problem. You can do the tutorial, and you can do, like, one other thing in this game. But it doesn't connect to the servers, and it doesn't go any farther than that. So this is, of course, a prelude, so a free version, like a demo of the NBA 2K17 game. So I couldn't get any farther than that, and that's all I could do. I thought it was fine as far as the mechanics I did see. Like, I've never really taken to any basketball games since playing, what was it, NBA Fire or something like that?
NBA Fire?
Back in Game Gear days. That's the last basketball game I played when I was playing as Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, just like 2-on-2 action.
NBA Jam?
Maybe that's what it is. He's on fire. Whatever they do that.
That's Jam.
Okay. So that just goes to show how uneducated I am when it comes to these sports, specifically basketball franchises, because I'm not really a basketball fan. I've been to, some college games. I've never been to an NBA game. I'd love to go to an NBA game, but football's my jam, so that's where I kind of stick to.
Gotcha.
Couple more things I played on Game Pass. Obviously, Warhammer Vermintide 2. There was an achievement hunt for that from the... do you have the the Microsoft rewards? Yeah. So if you go to the dashboard, every now and then it'll have like, hey, do you have this game? Get these achievements, and we'll give you so many points. So I did that for these next couple games. Vermintide 2, which is a Warhammer game. It's fine. I would never have played it, and I'll never go back. I got my stuff done, so it's just not for me. It's a first-person fantasy kind of game where you're, an archer or a dude with a big sword or whatever. It's not. It's fine. Again, it's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't not what I want right now. So that's what it comes to me when I'm playing these Game Pass games. I definitely want to try to step out of my comfort zone. And I don't know if it's reaffirming my
you should play that,
or what it's doing.
I wonder if it's still in there. You should play that hunting game.
I did download the Wild.
Yeah, I played that for a bit. I think I can kind of empathize with where you are. I've been there before. I typically don't download a bunch of games that I don't like, which sounds like what you've done. But I've definitely just kind of combed through the catalog and what, I don't really have anything that I'm really excited to be playing right now, so I want to play something. I downloaded that one. I played it for a weekend and had some fun. I'm not a hunter, so I can't speak to its stuff.
Authenticity.
But yeah, my father-in-law is a hunter, and he's always trying to get my son to hunt, and he liked watching me play it. So and it looks good. I mean, I guess that's one good thing to say. But I've been there. I've messed around with a few Game Pass games and just downloaded things that I never would buy on my own or anything like that, just to mess with them. And not every most games these days don't come with demos anymore. So back last gen, every game had a demo. So when you got this, you could demo everything. And there's kind of a second function of Game Pass. You can just kind of mess around with stuff. There was that crazy arcade racer. I can't remember the name of it, but it's on there where everybody's in doom buggies and stuff, and you smash into each other and whatnot. I wasn't as big a fan of that, but I did play it, and I messed around with it. It was weird. It felt like you kind of feel like you're almost like on rails, like everything's just kind of forward. It's like you're like those racetrack games that kids have, where like all the cars have like a groove. And they race around like magnetic groove. That's kind of what that game felt like. And you kind of race around. You can slide left and right, but I never really felt like I had full control of the car. And really all you do is you kind of loop around and smash into other cars. You have like NOS, you can fly over stuff, and it's got like some little destructive physics in the way. I would have never bought that game, but I played it, for an afternoon. I messed with it for two hours or so and played it and then deleted it. So I understand exactly kind of, the space you're in right now.
Yeah. Another one that I played from Game Pass just to try it was called Human Fall Flat. Have you played that at all?
No.
So this game is kind of a weird little physics game too, but it's actually kind of fun. So I'll go back to it and probably finish it. You're just going through these little levels, and it tells us a little story along the way. So I'm only just maybe 10% into that at this point, but that's a fun little game I will return to. Went back to PUBG for a little bit, because it's PUBG and I want to get another achievement in it because of the challenge they had, and then I also started Battlefield 5.
Ooh.
That's a little known first person shooter, I think they call
gorgeous
it. Gorgeous, Donnie. Yeah, it does look gorgeous. It's fantastic on the Xbox One X. I've played the online, and I've also played the first story mission. And Donnie, this game I didn't play the last the World War II one, or what it was, whatever it was, the one that just before this one. Mm-hmm. I didn't play that one, but this one is
Battlefield
great.
1.
It looks really good. I did play a little bit of 1. Maybe there was a different one.
It's so. Did you see any of the stuff that I posted in Discord about EA shooters?
I did not.
So I played the first 3. I don't even say it's the first because you can like pick and choose, but I played 3 of the solo chapters in Battlefield 5. I also started my EA Access trial on Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign. Mm-hmm. And I played through... So we went through the space station, we went through the jungle area, and then I started playing the next area. And I started that right after our game night. So like we played Wildlands, and then I jumped into that. And I got to tell you, I think I've come to the conclusion I just don't like EA shooters. And, it's for different reasons. I don't know. I feel like, kind of like you are with Forza, I feel like Call of Duty for so many years has me somewhat conditioned in how I expect like a shooter to play. Mm-hmm. And Battlefield feels like a hard adjustment for me to make from that, where in the Discord I was trying to lay it out and identify my case. I feel like Gears isn't so far away from like that snappy, aiming mechanic that like a COD has, whereas Battlefield feels a long way away. Like Battlefield almost feels like they're trying to be different. And I think that's the point, right? Battlefield wants to be different. That's what they're trying to go for. And in Battlefield 5, the game is beautiful and it's super fun to play, but Battlefield 5 feels like, as I put it, like the thinking man's shooter. Like it's very stealthy. It has... like elaborate missions that like start to compound on top of each other. Especially you have like these little open world areas where you kind of take on. And to be honest with you, as I kept playing, and I was like, this is not what I want. And as because I tend to do this, is weird, but I kind of contemplate. And I'll ask myself why. I'm like, why am I not enjoying it? It looks good. It's plays fine. I think it's just I just want Call of Duty. I think that's all it comes down to is I'm playing this, and I immediately, by the way, after I got done trying to play Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign, I just put in Call of Duty Infinite or Modern Warfare 4, the remake, and I was just like, yes, this is what I want. I want this like crazy action, adventure, action movie, huge set pieces, tunnel shooter corridor, like a more linear experience. I want to be, because like in the Battlefield 5 thing, I was driving a Jeep, and the driving did not feel good. I'm driving this Jeep from one side of the map to the other side of the map to go and shoot more people. And, and then they started chasing me from everywhere, and I ran out of bullets. It's just like, again, the thinking man. It's like, I just kind of, blow things up, and when I play shooters, that's what I do. And everybody in our Discord, they all know that about me. When I play shooters, I'm just there to have fun. I want to throw grenades, and I want to blow things up, and I want to see big spectacle stuff. And I think Battlefield has those moments, but I don't think that's what Battlefield is. Whereas
Are you a Halo guy?
Not nearly as much as a Gears person. I like Halo. I've played through Halo 1, 2, and half of 3 on Master Chief Collection. So I never got into Halo back in the day, ever. So, and for no reason, I had an Xbox and I just didn't play it. I never got into it back in the day, but once I kind of got to 360, I started to dabble with it. So I've played half of the campaigns. I've played Halo 5's multiplayer. I like multiplayer a lot more than I like the campaign in Halo 5 for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing what Infinite is in terms of, this direction, this prehistoric, I don't know. I want to say reboot, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's safe to say. But I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by what they've shown so far. Mm-hmm. But like those mechanics, I like a lot more. Something about Battlefield games, man. It's like that EA shooter game. Every year and that's what I said in Discord, ultimately, to wrap this point up, is every year, man, I get pulled in. I get pulled in by two things. An EA shooter and Assassin's Creed. Every year they get me, and every year I tell myself, "Don't do it again. You didn't like the last one, or you don't stop doing it." And every year they get me, and I'm about to get
Odyssey?
Anthem. I liked Odyssey, and that's not to say I didn't. I liked Odyssey. Odyssey and Origins are great games, both of them. They're huge. They're massive. Like these are Skyrim-esque games that you have to like live in and commit to. But I like the older Assassin's Creed games, I think, more. I think the story was more focused. Instead of just having a lot of branching paths and things to do, I want to be told the story. And I definitely feel like in Odyssey and Origins, even if you mainline the campaign, I think it feels padded out because that's not what they're trying. That's not what the game is about. The game, it doesn't tell you a main campaign anymore. Like what they're trying to do is they're trying to put you in areas to where you start following other paths, and that's the game now. And I liked it, before when I was, assassins and what are the other folks that they call them? Templars, yeah. When you were focused on that war and you had a villain, you were trying to take him down. I enjoyed that more than I think I do these new games, and it just feels like you're just doing a lot of the same thing over and over again. And Odyssey really didn't help me in the fact that I just did not like the sailing. The sailing is just like a huge turnoff for me. But the game is good. It's beautiful and it plays great and it's fun. That's not definitely with Odyssey. I think it's more me than the game. The game is great. I would never throw stones at Odyssey. I just think it's evolved into something that I don't quite want anymore. That's not why I bought Assassin's Creed games in the past. It just feels, for me, it's repetitive and not in a fun way, because I definitely like repetitive games. But like the combat, I wasn't taking like a large amount of fun in the combat of Odyssey. To really want to keep playing it. And like there are people who put hundreds of hours into that game.
Right.
That's a lot to be doing that same counter punch thing over and over again.
I haven't played much of Odyssey yet, just a little bit. But in Origins, I did play at least 100 hours. So I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So just a couple more games that I've been playing. Because I had this resolution to try to play more games. Hitman. The newish Hitman.
Yeah.
I played that on Game Pass, gave it a shot. I liked it. I played that first level. Have you played it?
No, that's one that I will, though. That's okay. Probably the first one that you've put that is on my to-do list.
So here's what's cool about Hitman that I discovered. So I played through this first introductory tutorial level. I did it all the different ways you can do it. I had a lot of fun doing that. And then I realized that there's a Hitman 2 prologue out for the new game. And you can download that for free and play all the stuff from Hitman 1 in the prologue. And so I went back and played the exact same level, the exact same scenarios, just with a little bit better controls and a little bit better graphics. Mm-hmm. So basically, it just moves those levels into Hitman 2. So it's kind of cool. So I did that. I've had this sitting on my hard drive forever. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers game, that 2D side scroller. I don't know why. It's nostalgia, and I'm just like, I want Power Rangers, and I bought it, and it's fine for what it is. It's like a reminds me of Castle Crasher-esque kind of style.
I love that.
So, it's fine. It's not anything I would really recommend. Popped up in the Division for just a little bit, just to kind of whet my appetite for 2. And then last night I played 2 new games. This is the Police.
Yep.
which is a game where you just kind of go through, you're kind of doing city management for the police station, sending cops out for different calls that come in, and detectives out to investigate different things. But also, there's a story that makes you kind of intertwine yourself with the mob, which I don't like, so I haven't been doing any mob missions yet. Like, they've been coming up, and I've been, like, ignoring them.
You always play as, like, the white hat. You're always, like, the hero of justice.
I try to be.
It's hilarious that you always... And I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. But I think in games, because so many movies are centered around, you know, the good guy, and if they are the bad guy, they typically, in any term of, you know, trilogy or legacy or universe, the good guy or the bad guy always becomes the good guy. When games allow you to go dark, I typically always try to tend that direction because it's something we don't get to see a whole lot of. And plus, everything's better when you have a really good villain. So I always try to make a really good villain first. But it's funny, just talking to you over the years, you always go that path.
I try to look for the best in things. But it's fine. I'll go back to it maybe a little bit more and try some more of it, but I'm not super into it just yet.
You got to get corrupt, man. You got to get your hands dirty.
Maybe that's what I'm missing. Maybe that's why I need to do more of a fantasy type approach. And finally, I played a game called The Gardens Between. Another game.
Hang on a second before you tell me about The Gardens Between, because I do want to hear that, because I have downloaded that one, but you just made me think of something. I want to ask you something. Do you like these narrative adventure games, like the Telltale Their Life is Strange? Because knowing you and how you're always like pulled in this, you know, justice path, I'd imagine that you either find them really boring because you're always making that choice, or you find them hard to play because the games put you in situations where they give you choices you don't want to make.
So here's my thought with those. I really do enjoy them because there's a lot of times where there's no clear right or wrong answer. It's just, how do you think this is going to affect things? There isn't a wrong answer here, but choose it. And you have to commit to that path. And I do like those type of games. They make you think. They make you think about how things are going to turn out. And if you actually care about, you know, the story, how it's progressing, or the characters in it, that aspect I do like. So I don't really have any problems with those because, especially like you said, I usually tend to play the good way. But like The Wolf Among Us is an excellent example, right? You're a detective, for a better lack of a term, trying to figure things out, and then you're making these decisions that you think are the best way to handle things. Yeah, there's a dark path, obviously, but there's a lot of gray paths. So that's kind of what I like to navigate. Okay,
cool. You should play Oxenfree if you haven't.
I do have that. I need to play it at some point. That's also on Game Pass, I think. But finally, The Gardens Between, I started that. I got through the first 2 worlds. It's an interesting little game. So it's a little puzzler that you basically, whatever happens is going to happen. You are just controlling time and going forward or backward in the flow. And there's these little orbs of light that you're supposed to take around from one part of the map to the next. And based on different things that are happening, they might be able to figure out a way to get them to the end of the stage. So it's kind of interesting. You just got to kind of think about it for a little bit and understand how the level's going to move and work. So it's
so I know the perspective of the game, and when you say the level moves, because I've had this on my radar for a while. I was going to get it on Switch, and then it came to Game Pass, so I downloaded it, and I just haven't got to it yet. Do you spin the world? Is it like Fez?
So you don't. It's kind of like Fez in the fact that the world is spinning. Like, you're looking at it from one specific spot, and everything else is turning in front of you. But you're not spinning it because of like what you want to do and just kind of look around and see things. You're just spinning it to follow time. If that makes sense.
You. Okay. Yeah.
So
cool.
But that's it for what we've been playing. So, you know, we're about 30-some minutes in here. Do you want to actually start our discussion?
Start the discussion?
For January?
Sure.
So, Donnie, one thing that we kind of teased last month and that we've been kind of wanting to talk about as far as going into 2019 is what we want to see from Microsoft, from the Xbox platform in 2019. So, since I feel like I've been talking quite a bit, how about we toss it to you for a couple of your thoughts for what you want to see from Microsoft?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I have so many things sitting here on my notes. I'm not exactly sure how many things I can get in here, but let's kick it off with, I'll just start and we'll kick it off with the biggest thing we can touch on, and that's Gears 5. Gears 5 is an Xbox exclusive that we know is coming. The trailer, the cinematic trailer that we got at E3 was both gorgeous as well as intriguing. So, if you don't remember, do you remember the trailer?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we saw Oscar die. We don't know. We have no confirmation, but that trailer opened with someone dying. And knowing his relationship to Kate and how, emotional she is, plus it, taking place kind of in one of those outsider village areas, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think it's too far of a limb to say that Oscar looks like he's met his end somewhere in this game. So then Kate has to go, she's lost her mom now. She's lost Oscar. And now she's going to go on this quest, I guess, to look into her backstory, which was the huge reveal tease from Gears 4 in the ending, and that she is some sort of lineage, descendant, legacy, royal blood back to Mira through her mom. And that's exciting stuff because we could be seeing, like the return of the Locust. This could, Gears 4, if depending on where they go with this, Gears 4 could have been looked at as kind of like a really soft reboot for just the universe in general. And they're teasing whether or not like Kate might betray our COG folks, like JD and Phoenix are still there. So like we still have the old guard. I'm not exactly sure where they're going with it, and that's the intriguing part. Because I love Kate the character. I think she's a refreshing breath for the Gears universe. I think it gives that universe some complexity that it's never really had. It's always just kind of been like, like the tropey thing that everyone makes fun of. It's the bro shooter, right? Let's be strong bros, huge forearms, and we go shoot aliens, right? She adds a little something to that I think makes it feel a little bit more human, and I think it makes it a little more attractive to a wider base, and I'm excited about that. As someone who's really enjoyed Gears for a very long time, I'm very excited about that. But in the same breath, I don't want to say this as a prediction, but they could be setting up where you play Gears 5 as Kate, who turns, and then you play Gears 6 as JD to rescue her. That seems to be the path, at least the trailer is hinting at, so it might be a swerve. Probably is a swerve. But it could be going that way, and it's just interesting. It's been a long time, in all seriousness. It's been a long time since I've been this invested into an Xbox exclusive storyline across games. And I think that's an important part to note here. I don't think I'm the only one. I'm not going to speak for gamers everywhere. I'm not going to lay down one of the Donnie-isms that I'm so known for, but I definitely think there are other people out there that have been invested and are intrigued into the story of where this Gears is going, because it definitely feels like a new era of Gears, Right. The Coalition kind of has like this new thing that we're doing, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And Gears 4 on X enhanced 4K 60, that's been promised for Gears 5. You saw the trailer. They had so we've got like that frozen environment, like that outsider village. They showed like this jungle. They showed them flying over like that icy lake thing. So we're going to be moving around quite a bit. I'm wondering if it's going to be a little more open. I won't go as far as saying open world, but maybe like Tomb Raider open, like open environment areas. And because it should be bigger than Gears 4, I would imagine. And I'm just really excited. So far, we haven't seen those lightning storms. I was a fan of them before playing the game. Like, leading up to it, they looked cool. And then actually playing the game, they're not cool. They're not fun at all. They haven't shown any of that, so I'm hoping I'm sure it will be there, but I'm hoping it's not like a focus of the game, and I don't think it's going to be. And I just really hope it's built on narrative. And I hope we have a real long narrative-based game, and I don't even know what else to say, man. I'm really excited for it. It's a huge hitter. People love shooters. I love shooters, and I'm ready to see where this path takes.
So, do you think that this could be a year for Gears, where you look at the new game coming out, obviously, but you also have the tactics game,
yep,
and you have that pop game coming out, right?
Yeah, and I have no idea what that pop game really is. I'm sure I will at least download it. It's not something I'm following or looking into. It's not something I think I want. Maybe they can turn me around. I just don't do mobile games. Tactics, I will definitely play. Have you seen the latest rumor with the Tactics?
That's supposed to come to Xbox?
Yeah. So it was listed on Razer's website as using mouse and keyboard on Xbox. They listed that in like this promotion that they put up. They've since edited it. I don't think it is, but at the same time, I think it might. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I don't think it is because I think if it was going to, I think they would have announced it as such. I don't see a world in where they make a PC game using Gears and they announce it as exclusive, not coming to Xbox. But at the same time, the same breath, actually, it's just because it is Gears, I can always see it coming over. But I don't really care about the platform for that. I will play Gears Tactics wherever it comes out. Like, yeah, I will totally play that on my computer. That's not a problem.
Well, in the past, they did do the Halo Spartan Assault, Spartan Strike, which was announced as a Surface or Windows Mobile exclusive. But eventually it found its way onto the Xbox platform, too. So there is precedent for that to kind of navigate over if it does
Maybe
come
it
out
comes
later.
over to Xbox, but it requires mouse and keyboard. And maybe that's why they didn't want to call it, like an Xbox game. I don't know. Yeah, that's definitely weird. It's definitely weird that why they would make any game using Gears and not put it on Xbox is just odd. Mm-hmm. But I don't care. Like I said, I'll play it on PC. That'll be just fine. But Gears 5 is what I'm looking forward to. I want to play Gears 5 in a jungle. I want to play Gears in a jungle. Like, I want big, lush environments, Gears. That's amazing.
You make me want to try to make up an AC/DC song off the spot here. Welcome to Gears Jungle, where it's lush and green. Sorry.
Guns N' Roses.
The Guns N' Roses, yeah, sorry. I don't know my bands, man. I listen to classical music. I know John Williams and I know Beethoven and Bach. Give me a break, man.
Gotcha.
What else you got?
Okay. Oh, okay. Man, I've got a lot here, so I don't want to step on your toes, and I also don't want to take away from anything. I also don't want to sit here and just talk about games forever because we could do a 3-hour show, I think, on all these. You know what? I'm going to kind of use all of these at once and let you riff off of them. But I've got some ID at Xbox, some indie games that I'm really excited for in 2019. A couple of them I've been talking about for a while, and I'm going to keep talking about them until they come. And that's The Last Night. That's that Blade Runner cyberpunk game from E3 2017. Mm-hmm. If you haven't been following that game, Tim Soray is the lead developer, the creator behind it. That game has fallen into some serious trouble of late. Apparently it was supposed to have a new trailer at the Game Awards, and I think they're being sued. He mentioned that they're having business and legal problems, and they've opened up for more funding, and these legal problems stopped them from showing a trailer. I don't know why. I mean, it does seem very Blade Runner-y. I don't know if that might have something to do with it. There's really nobody saying, but this game has just been kind of in development hell since the day it was shown. I know he made some statements back in the day that people pulled up that they didn't like and whatnot, so he's also been kind of laying low on that end, but I'm still very interested in the game. I think if you see a trailer or a GIF of the game, it's very intriguing. It's very tempting. I want to see what it is, but I don't know if we're going to get that game anytime soon. On the opposite end, The Artful Escape, which is one that I'm really excited about. Do you remember that one?
Was that the Donnie game?
Yeah, that's the Donnie game. It's the David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust platformer with the guitar and all the spectacle game. That one I've been keeping tabs on its Twitter account, and they just seem like they're hard at work. So I expect that game to come out in 2019, unless it's just a really small team and they just have a lot more to do. But considering how long it's been in development, they met their goals. Microsoft brought them on as exclusive. They're just doing for PC and Xbox, so it's not a scale issue. They don't have multiple platforms. I'm really excited for that one. Then we have After Party, which is from the team that made Oxenfree, where you have to out-party and out-drink the devil, which sounds really cool. We have Zelda Fox, a.k.a. Tunic. I'm pretty sure everybody, and every Xbox diehard probably hates hearing people refer to that game as Zelda Fox, but that's exactly what it is.
That's what it looks like.
It's a Zelda game starring this cute little fox, and I'm dying to see it. That guy is making the game all by himself. So I'm not expecting it in 2019, but it's definitely on my radar, so I keep bringing it up. And then Session, which is that skateboarding game that we saw. So that one's been in development for a long time. I think they did a demo last year on PC. I think they got a Kickstarter fulfilled the year or two before. My years might be running together. I think they did Kickstarter in 2016, I think. So it's going to be timed exclusive on Xbox. You remember that? Right? E3, everybody thought it was going to be Skate, and we got this game called Session. And yeah, man, I'm down for a skateboarding game. There's two things you got to do right. It's got to be fun to skate. All right, the mechanics can't be like weird, wonky, and hard. Nobody wants that. It's got to be fun to skate, and you got to have the music. If it's fun to skate and the music's cool to listen to, you have yourself a hit. So I've got these 5 kind of indie ID at Xbox games that I'm really paying attention to. I keep checking on them, like once a month or so, looking for updates, and I'm hoping we get to play more of them than not here in 2019. Do you have any? What do you think about these? And do you have any ones you'd add to that list?
So as far as these go, I just want to ask a quick question regarding Session. Are you going to get some Vans and some baggy cargo shorts to?
I've got the cargo shorts. I've got the cargo shorts. Now the Vans I don't have, but I might look into some of those.
As far as the ID at Xbox games for 2019, there's not a ton that are on my radar. But just with my situation in the last year or so, it's just my ability to really look at these smaller games has diminished, which is why I look to you and others in our family to kind of make sure I'm not missing anything great. But at the same time, I do know that most of these, when they come out, I believe are going to hit Game Pass, so I'll be able to just play them right away. But that's just my thought about that. Is I want them to be cool and good, and I want these little indie developers to have a great little splash, if it were. And then launching on Game Pass would be a great thing for him because, like we saw with the Rocket League game, when it was free for PSN, got this huge hit on PSN. Everybody started talking about it and started buying it and everything everywhere else. So it's a positive move for them to be able to release to a wide audience.
Sure.
But I did have one thing that I'll talk about. Now, this isn't an ID at Xbox game, but it will hit Game Pass. And I did want to get your thoughts on this too. So we know Crackdown 3 is coming out. It's just around the corner. It comes out in February. And there's been a lot of development.
Hell. It's been in development hell.
Exactly. It's one of those games that you don't know what's going to happen when it comes out. And I just want it to be good. As I remember the first Crackdown, Donnie. I remember playing that first Crackdown, loving it, jumping around the city, collecting these orbs, and just doing crazy things, and just having a lot of fun in that sandbox, in that world. I really am looking forward to the prospect of kind of re-experiencing that in a no more modern age. But to be quite honest, I want it to be good. I really do. But I just think it's going to fall flat.
I think that's how everybody thinks. And I think to Microsoft's credit, that's where this game has been for a long time, and they have tried. Lord knows that they have invested as much as I think they can to trying to make that not the case. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm with you. I played the Crackdown 1 back compat, upscaled version on X, and it's fun. I played around with it for an entire weekend because I never played the first Crackdown back in the day. I didn't have that memory that everybody had. So I played it, and I get it. It's fun, and that campaign will kind of make or break me. Whereas I think for the majority of folks, the multiplayer will make or break kind of how this game is remembered. But I'm all in on the campaign. I'm not even really messing with the multiplayer, but it's going to come out. It's going to come out in a crowded window. It's going to come out in a window of very high-profile games, and if it doesn't hold up, which by comparison it really doesn't look like it can, it's definitely going to be the easy target. And it's going to be easy for folks to say bad things about it, and likewise, it'll be easy for homers to talk about how it's getting the short end of the stick, which it might. But yeah, launching in the Game Pass, I think, is the biggest thing that it can help it, because it'll at least get it in the hands of people. So if it is good, we should hear about it. If it's good, there should be people telling other people it's good because it has access. That's at least one up that it has over, say, like Metro. There'll be like a lot of people, especially with Anthem, there'll be a lot of people picking and choosing which one they want to buy. And because Crackdown hits Game Pass, at least it should have an audience that give it a try. So it's going to have that. So that's good. And, it's weird because based off of Crackdown that I played, Crackdown 1, I don't understand what it's taken. So what the deal has been. It seems like a pretty simple formula to recreate. It's like, just do that. Just do that with better graphics and make it, make the physics a little better and run better. But man, I mean, it's super fun jumping from, building to building over, like feeling like a superhero. That's, how hard is that? But
right.
Yeah, this game has been in troubled times. So we'll see. I would say I'm hesitant. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see what's been the holdup. It has that part of me. I'm like intrigued. I'm like, why has this been a thing for so long? But I don't know, man.
So I want to tell you one thing I don't want for 2019. I don't want Microsoft to dwell. We all know it's coming, but to dwell much or release a new console this year.
Ooh. So let me ask you this. So we've got all these rumors about their digital box. Is that a new console, or are you just looking at that as another SKU?
So if it's still has the core Xbox One innards, even if it's like an X type quality but with no drive, that's still an Xbox One to me. So that still is the same console gen. I don't think that we need to be pushing to get to a new console generation. I mean, you look at these games that are coming out right now, and they're taking advantage of the systems that we have. Granted, the launch Xboxes are faltering, but if you have an X or an S, you're still keeping pace with the vast majority of these games, especially if you have an X, right?
Sure.
So I think that as a console generation goes, there's no need to rush into the next generation, because we saw what happened with the coming into Xbox One with them using the inferior hardware and having a different focus and bundling the attachments into there. And, it was a bungled launch. I just want them to take their time to think about it, which I'm sure they are, but to think about the best time to launch it, because we look at these games that are coming out in 2019 that we know of, right? We know about this Anthem coming out soon. It looks fantastic, and a lot of these third-party games are taking advantage of this gorgeous displays that we can get now. So I just don't think that it's time to be saying we need to get to this new generation, because there's so much life left in what we have.
So that's interesting, and we can, as we typically do, we can go into long tangent debates about Game Pass and hardware. So I want to touch on a couple of things. This digital box rumor that's been coming out. So like Windows Central put this out, and I typically believe them when they kind of go with things. And we could be looking at one or two SKUs. I've seen like a $149 Xbox One S like digital box. So basically these things that they're releasing are Game Pass boxes. That's like one way you can look at it. It's all downloadable. It's all hard drive. It's all digital. And there's no disc drive. They don't play physical games. One of the rumors have been mentioning that Xbox might be doing this physical to digital trade-in program, where you can actually take your discs to like a Microsoft store and trade them for a download code, which is interesting, because what we know of Scarlett and what we know of the future with their streaming plans and everything, it makes sense to try and get their base used to doing digital things, versus trying to break habits like they did. This is kind of like the slow and steady approach, which I think is smart. That's really smart. But this next gen thing is interesting because we don't know what it is. So, I mean, really, we don't know what it is. So like, that's the interesting thing about it is we don't know if it's streaming based, right? Because we know that they're doing this huge streaming rollout that we're going to see this year. We don't know if that's a part of it, if it's just like a subset. We don't know if it's brand new hardware. We know that Phil has been on record as saying, no new generations. So like it might just be another Xbox One SKU that's called something else, but it might be fully backwards compatible. Like what if it's just like another half step for the X? It's just the X with another boost, but you can still use your X and the games play across platforms. Like if they're going that realm, which is kind of the roadmap that he's been laying out for the last 2 years, I don't necessarily say that we're not ready for it, and that I don't think that means that the current gen is outdated if that's the route that they're going, if that's the path that they're going with. I could definitely see. I definitely think we're going to hear about it this year. Mm-hmm. They've got E3 all to themselves, so Sony's not doing it. So I think we'll know what Scarlett is come June, and I think it'll release if not this fall, then the spring. I could definitely see that we see something Xbox at E3, and it's out November or March. And I just don't know. I don't. When I keep saying I don't know, what I really want to say is I don't think they're going to just break off anymore. For the longest time, I was kind of, let's get out of this generation as fast as possible. Let's hit the reset button. I don't think that's what they're doing at all. I think they're going, no, slow and steady wins the race. We're not done yet. And they're just going to keep going with this path and keep leaning into it. You know, I think they expect that folks that bought the Xbox One would get the S. A lot of those folks who got the S will get the X, and a lot of folks who got the X will get whatever they put out next, as long as it keeps Game Pass, it keeps live, they're backwards compatible. As long as they keep doing what they're doing, I think they keep thinking that they'll just keep building on top of it. So, you know, I could definitely see them coming out with you know, streaming boxes that do things. I could see them coming out with even a half step improvement on the X. I don't know, but I think all of those are possible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm with you in the fact that the next console is going to be... You're not going to lose your library of games. You'll be able to continue on with the downloadable, backwards compatible type process that they've been touting. You know, they've been really leading this effort. And for them to now, if they were to suddenly abandon it or cast it off, I don't think that would be... That's not a move that the current Microsoft would do, in my opinion, because they've been making all these customer-friendly moves. That doesn't seem like it would be in the same wheelhouse as them right now.
So, like, with this Scarlet thing, I kind of see it as... reboot or reset's not the right word. I kind of see it as them kind of fixing things, right? The Xbox One was so focused in Kinect, right? Like the OS and everything. I could totally see them coming out with a new console that's focused on performance and focused on streaming, and it has all that, and that's what it's built around. But it's still like in the Xbox One family, you know. Like even if it doesn't hold the name, it's still in the Xbox One family because it carries all of your games, everything plays with it. I could see that being the thing, and I would support that, even if it came out this year.
So, Donnie, what's next on your list for 2019?
Ooh, you want to talk about... All right, I'm just going to read off a few games that I'm really excited about. These are going to be third-party games, so they're not exclusive to the console, but I'm planning on buying all of these and playing all of these on Xbox. And that starts next week with the next episode of Life is Strange 2. Episode 2 comes out, as well as Remake 2, Resident Evil Remake 2, to be specific, which looks incredible. It looks amazing. And... I keep seeing these GIFs from the demo, which I'm not going to play. I don't want to play the demo. I don't want to be unspoiled with this game at all. What I want to do is I want to come home next Friday. I want to turn my phone off. I want to turn on my Xbox. I want to play Resident Evil. And I don't want to be bothered.
And that's so. Life is Strange. You said the next episode before we move away from there. That's going to go to Game Pass, right?
Yes. Yeah, because they've dropped all. I was so surprised they've put all of the Life is Strange stuff on Game Pass in the past 3 weeks. So you have Life is Strange Before the Storm, and Life is Strange 2, Episode 1. I know they're giving out Episode 1. I don't know if they're going to do all... I would imagine they would. It might be timed, right? So you may not get it next week. You may have to wait next month or something like that. But I was really excited to see them in there. I would hope that they launch in there. I mean, I already bought the game. I don't care if they launch in there either. It wouldn't bother me because the game is so good. I feel like I can't yell at people enough to give Life is Strange 2 a chance because I love the first episode, and the second episode looks like it's going to be fantastic. Mm-hmm. They have a dog, Nathan. It's called Mushroom. It's the cutest thing in the world. Like, you've got to play the game.
I have it all downloaded on my Xbox, Donnie. I will eventually get to it because it's outside my comfort zone.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely play... Well, so the thing that I always say, if you want to take my path... Now, my opinion on this game I don't think is popular. A lot of people like Life is Strange 1 more than Before the Storm. I like Before the Storm more than Life is Strange 1. Before the Storm is more grounded. It's more based on relationships. It's a heavy narrative. Where Life is Strange 1 has like all this sci-fi stuff. There's a giant tornado. You can rewind time, right? That was kind of the sci-fi stuff that I didn't get into that I think a lot of people like. So, you know, depending on who you are, you can take those two things. But I love Before the Storm. Before the Storm is one of my favorite games.
Would you recommend playing Before the Storm before the first season? And how required is this Captain Spirit bit?
So Captain Spirit, the free demo, is not required at all. However, I say that here in episode 2, we're going to see just how much that fits in. But in Captain Spirit, you play as a completely separate kid who's outside of Daniel's story completely. But apparently they cross paths. So it might be like some Avenger thing. Like they might be teaming up. I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's just a normal kid, and they kind of help save him. If you haven't played the demo, that's kind of what happens. But you just kind of see our protagonist at the back. So I would say The Adventures of Captain Spirit is not required, but it is a really good time. It's worth your time. You'll definitely I think you'll find more enjoyment playing that than Power Rangers, Nathan. So if you're like looking for something to do, it's definitely worth your time. Before the Storm is interesting because it has its own arc that I think is impactful outside of the first game, but there is some stuff that pings back to the first game that you might not get. But at the same time, it's so like high level that I think you'll understand it, right? So the first game is like very like there's like a sexual predator type thing that's going on with these girls and like a teacher. Like just knowing that, you'll understand Before the Storm when it kind of harkens back to that stuff. You'll get it. But I definitely think if you were to ask me, so if the question is I gotta pick one to play, I'm gonna tell everybody to play Before the Storm. Play that one. Because the story kind of gets you all caught up. I think the relationship between Rachel and Chloe is better than Chloe and Max. And then the ending is really, really good. It's gut-wrenching. It's heavy. And it really kind of tells you just how good Don't Nod is at storytelling.
Well, good to know.
So, so Life is Strange and then Remake 2, like right out of here, right out of the get-go. I'm so excited to turn on my Xbox next week.
Very good.
Did you play Resident Evil 2?
No, I'm not a...
Down to the horror stuff?
I'm not a spooky game kind of guy. I'm not a spooky movie kind of guy. I did watch The Bird Box, but I'm not a spooky person kind of person. I like thrillers, but I don't like it when they're like full of cheap jump scares and just make you
Resident
feel
Evil
eerie
2's got a ton
like
of that. Yeah, it's all of that. Like jump out of the windows and all that. It's great stuff.
I like things that make you think, that are more psychological, and that are just more... that puts you in uncomfortable type situations than like straight up like zombie horror apocalypse type stuff.
I got you. I've got more if you want me to keep going or if you want to jump in.
Well, let me talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. We know that they're going to talk about it more this year for sure. I don't know if it'll actually come out this year, but we'll get more information of Halo Infinite.
Yep.
And what that's going to mean for the future of the franchise, what this is going to entail as far as this new engine that they've created for it. There's a lot of information to be learned about the new Halo, and it's been a while since Halo 5 came out. So I'm not rushing them by any means. I want them to take their time and get things right. We have a ton of Halo to play with the Master Chief Collection just getting like onto Game Pass with the Xbox One X enhancements. It looks fantastic, so there's a lot of Halo to be played still. But I am looking forward to see what comes next with the Master Chief Saga. How about you?
Yeah, so my question really to someone like you that has more history, is this like a reboot? Are we seeing like a kind of a new beginning, or is this kind of taking up where Halo 5,
This
5,
is taking up where Gears 5 left off.
where Halo 5 left off, and it's kind of going somewhere else? Because just the way that trailer like showcased itself is it felt very new. And it felt very like refreshed, and I was kind of anticipating that being the case.
So my thought is that with this new engine, it is a refresh of it, much in the way that you know how movies sometimes do soft reboots. So like X-Men First Class or this Transformers Bumblebee, where it could be part of the overall narrative, but it could do its own thing. They're not going to throw away what we already have with Master Chief and his saga to this point. This will just be a continuation of that story. I think that we will get some more resolutions with Cortana and what happened to her after Halo 5, because there's a lot of questions. You haven't played the 5 campaign, correct? You mentioned that before.
I played maybe a quarter of it, and that was about as much as I could take.
Okay. So there's a lot of questions that are left unanswered at the end of 5, which I think it's going to be more of a continuation of that. But also just kind of a fresher take on things, a little bit of a reimagining if you look at as far as the utilization of a new engine in the process. So there's a lot of unknowns to come out.
Any
It
chance
could
that this
feel
is
different.
just away from Cortana and Master Chief completely?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because typically what happens when you get away from Halo, from Master Chief's story, it's not usually very well received. Like, I loved ODST, but not many people did, because you were not the super soldier. You were not the John, behind the mask guy that is the one that you've come to know and love throughout the story. Even in Halo 2, when you started playing as the Arbiter, that was not a thing people wanted to do. So
Yeah, I didn't like that either.
And in Halo 5, it has the same kind of thing happening where you are, you have the Locke story and the Chief story. So while it's been a feature recently to kind of try to get away from Chief, fans do not want to get away from Chief. Fans like Chief.
So could it be like a new timeline or a new universe starring Chief, but detached from? Because I think one of the challenges that I have with Halo, having not been there the whole time, is that there have been so many games. The story is so complex and convoluted. It's hard to keep up. And I definitely think for like Halo's long-term appeal, and I'm not trying to say that it's not successful, but I mean, the numbers prove that Halo is not as successful as it used to be. And it's, in its space, there's a lot of competitors now. I think getting more people on the ground floor of something new, I think would go a long way for maybe, getting that back to prominence where I think it should be. Especially like you have like the likes of Destiny and stuff like that. Like, like people, why try to like catch up on 13 games that you may or may not have missed, or figure out, Locke and Cortana and all that, when you can just like roll the new character in Destiny and keep going. Like I was thinking like maybe something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I see the appeal from that side too, but I mean, I don't know. I think that if you wanted to build a different character that you follow outside of Chief, you need to not call it Halo. You could call it something else in that same universe, or a Halo story after the end of it, but I feel like you can't call it Halo whatever if you're not going to feature Chief.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting it anyway. I don't think it's coming out this year, but I'm getting it either way. I'm really intrigued. I want to see more. I do like playing Halo 5. I like playing the multiplayer. It's really fun. The story is just not like very captivating. That's my only issue. There's no point where did it get its hooks into me. Unlike like Halo 1 and 2, I played them to the end because they were really fun.
The opening scene of Halo 5 was pretty good. Where they're all kind of coming down that mountain and you're just thrust into that battle.
And it looks great, by the way. I mean, we keep saying that. The X enhancement on 5 looks amazing. But yeah, I was thinking maybe like a prequel type thing. Like I don't know, it just feels like very ancient. Kind of the way that they kind of positioned it seems like a whole new world. So I was kind of hoping for something much more new and inviting versus just a continuation. But I guess we'll see. We'll definitely know more at E3. They'll definitely show it.
You wanted a new fantastic point of view?
Yeah.
Did you get that?
Not really.
You said a whole new world. And
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I had to try it. I got a couple more things, and then I'll toss it to you to kind of wrap up what you want for 2019. But these things are more of a intangible, I guess you could say. It's not a deliverable. It's just something I'd like to see. So the Game Pass, we all know it's a great service. I just hope that everybody else out there in the Xbox family knows that as well. So I want Game Pass's adoption to grow. I want more people to understand how great of a service it is. With getting these brand new games in there that cycle through, and you get new games all the time, so it's not stale. I feel like it's a service that you just can't talk about enough. And I hate doing that too, because I feel like I'm a salesman for Microsoft, and we're not getting any checks from Microsoft last time I checked.
We really could call ourselves the Game Pass podcast.
We could.
I mean, we are so into Game Pass.
But I really feel like, adoption of Game Pass, if you guys can, bring that up to grow that would really be the next evolution for that platform, because then they see, wow, all these people are in it. Let's double down. Let's put more content in here. Let's actually make content and deliver it into Game Pass with some of our new studios, like these episode-type contents that you could receive from something. So that's what I'd like to see, higher Game Pass adoption. And then more crossplay. So we know that in 2018 there was a lot of the introduction for crossplay with Minecraft, playing with a Nintendo Switch. Also Rocket League, we were able to play with a Nintendo Switch PC. I like to see more of that. Like I like to see a big player come to the field with maybe Call of Duty or something like that, or Destiny, that you could do a cross play with PlayStation, Xbox, PC, what have you. That would be really cool to see more adoption on crossplay as well. But then finally, my final thing that I kind of want to see in 2019, we know that there's going to be a fourth DLC drop, a second expansion pass for Forza Horizon 4. Now in Forza Horizon 3, we got the Hot Wheels pack for their second DLC drop. How awesome would it be, Donnie?
Cars 2.
No. How awesome would it be if they did a World of Halo DLC? We got a taste with that mission with Master Chief, racing through the...
That was so much fun, by the way.
It was great fun. You go back, you replay it. Mm-hmm. Give us more like that. Give us, driving through in Crackdown on the streets. Give us through Gears of War, on Emergence Day or whatever they call it, where all these things are popping out and you're still trying to drive around. That would be fun. That would be really cool, and it'd be like a celebration of Xbox too. And I would love to see a World of Xbox like DLC type drop for Forza Horizon 4. Phil, I know you're listening, buddy. Come on, let's do this.
I think that's good. I think it should be its own game. I don't think Forza 4 is the place to drop that. I would love if the next Forza was just that, and like they kind of built an entire Forza around that idea. That'd be really good. And we had all those rumors of like Tokyo Drift Forza. That's what I want. That's what I want most. I want to see that. But that'd be really good. That'd be really good. I definitely think. I mean, they have the universe to pull from. I just don't know how do you do Battletoads Forza?
I just avoid them.
Are you excited for Battletoads, by the way? Because that's coming out this year.
I've never played it. I don't really care.
I have played it, and I don't like it, so I don't really care. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, it's not my jam.
I didn't think that IP needed to be resurrected. Anything else from you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I have a few things that I want to see that are more like predictive on your end. So I'm going to cover those first, and then I'll just read off a few things I'm looking forward to. I want to see We Happy Few come to Game Pass because I don't want to buy it because apparently it's not good, but I want to play it. Uh-huh. And I think them owning them, I think will make that happen. So I think sometime in 2019, I think that'll happen.
I think you'll see that probably by mid-year.
Yeah. Even though I have already went on record saying I don't think I like EA shooters, I want to see this Star Wars Respawn game. I want that to be cool, and I want it to be awesome, and I want it to be like Titanfall and Star Wars, and I want to wield lightsabers, and I want it to be badass. So I want to see that. We've already talked about Infinite. I want to meet the initiative. They don't necessarily have to show me a project, although I'd like to see at least like predetermined times, but I'd like to meet them. I would like at E3 or something. I want the initiative to be formally introduced, and I want to know what they're about. Like even if it's just genre specific, I just want to know what are they doing. Are they like Microsoft's answer to Naughty Dog? Like what are we to expect from the initiative? Are they making indie games? Are they making Destiny shared world shooter games? Are they doing single player adventure games? I just want to know.
They're making God of Peace.
Is that for real?
No.
Okay. I mean, I gotta ask because you never know. Game titles are weird these days. Like they could totally come out with some shooter thing, God of Peace, Warface, right? But I'd like to be formally introduced to the initiative, and I'd like to just get an idea of what we can expect from them in the future. We talked about next hardware, and one thing I didn't mention that Phil said at XO18 was this blend between Windows and Xbox and streaming and everything. You know, I mentioned that like they could be building a new box for that, and a part of that could be a new operating system and a new storefront, both for Windows and for Xbox. And I could see that being a core piece of Scarlet and a new box to buy. And I would really welcome that. I would love to see them build an operating system and a storefront built around Game Pass and Live that worked on Windows, that wasn't the Windows Store. And I could see that being a neat little pillar of that initiative, and launching kind of a new product, a new face, a refresh, a brand refresh, if you will, for Xbox. So I would like to see that. Once we hear about hardware or anything, I want to hear more from that, because I was really excited. He mentioned that XO just kind of in passing, and I want to see what he means, because I think it's warranted and I think it's needed. And then some games I'm looking forward to, I'm definitely buying on Xbox and playing this year is Crash Team Racing, Far Cry, The New Dawn, Rage 2, Code Vein, The Outer Worlds, maybe Devil May Cry 5, probably Devil May Cry 5, just not at launch, and then Cyberpunk 2077. Do we think that's coming out this year? I don't. Do you? They've shown it a long time.
You know, that demo they showed recently, they're pretty far along.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it snuck out towards the end of the year in Q4.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't expect anything before that.
And it could side straddle like a new gen launch, right? Mm-hmm. And it very well could do one of those types of things. But it'll be interesting to see that. And then things we didn't cover, because I don't think they're necessarily dear to our hearts, but should be mentioned in any 2019 Xbox retrospective, is that Cuphead's getting expansion, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, Minecraft are getting expansions. And then obviously we'll have a new Forza Motorsport, right? We'll have a new Forza this year. Are you looking forward to that?
I always enjoy the Motorsport series, not as much now as the Horizons, but with it coming to Game Pass, I definitely am looking forward to it.
And then Ori Will of the Wisp, which is I've been waiting for that game forever, so we'll see. I thought it was going to be out like this month.
Yeah.
Like if you had asked me 6 months ago, I was like, oh yeah, it'll be out like January, February. And then I was thinking maybe like spring. And then at EXO, they were like, and we look forward to sharing more Ori with you at E3. So like it might be June or July or August. Who knows? It's like the game that continually gets delayed without ever being actually announced.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's one of those games where you expected it for a long time, and they announced it, and then they only really officially announced it last year, right?
Yeah, and you know, I will admit this, because the first one just came to Game Pass, the definitive edition, which is fantastic. If you're listening to the show and you haven't played it, you've got to play it. It's great. I don't like what they're doing with this one so far, to be honest with you. It looks like Ori, which I appreciate, but like this time trial stuff, this multiplayer, that is... I don't think there was one Ori fan that was like, yep, that's what I want. You know, like... Exactly. And I feel like this is like some sort of effort to attract a new customer. Maybe Ori didn't sell well, so they're trying to like expand, you know, the people that might be attracted to it, which I can appreciate as a business standpoint, but I think you alienate the people that like it and support it and are looking forward to it more than anything else. And I don't know. Maybe that doesn't matter in today's Game Pass era, you know, because you still have access to it no matter what, but I don't like that, and I can't help but feel like the delay is that. It's this new stuff that they're trying to put into the game, and I'm not digging it. I would have rather them set that off as like an expansion or, you know, something to come later, DLC or something like that. Like I think messaging is important, and the messaging for Ori should have been focused on Ori's story, how this picks up from the last one. That should have been the focus, not time trials and multiplayer. And like, no. You save that for after the game comes out, so you don't alienate anybody. But we'll see. And I think that's it. I said Rage 2, right?
Nope.
And so Rage 2, and then Doom Eternal, which is going to rock Xbox. And that's coming out this fall, and that's going to be nuts. They have a grappling gun shotgun thing that looks incredible. So yeah,
cool.
That's it.
Well, it's a pretty good list. I mean, we have a lot to look forward to this year. Obviously, there's only 12 months in a year. Can Microsoft and Xbox do it all? You know, that's one of those things when you think about it, at the beginning of the year. Wouldn't it be great if all this happens and then other stuff happens that you didn't even think about? That's really cool. But the things that you always want hardly ever come to fruition, but it's nice to think, right? Nice to ponder.
Eventually, it'll all get delayed into one amazing year where it all drops.
2018 was pretty good.
2018 was pretty good, but it wasn't. I think 2018 was good. I think it feels. I think 2017 was better, which makes 2018 like it makes you feel like you can say bad things about 2018, but I won't because it was great. There was a ton of games that I played and enjoyed in 2018. It was really good. Mm-hmm. But I think 2019 has the makings of being better. 2019 feels like that year, that magical year where things like start to collide, right? Where delayed things start to become things. Unannounced things start to become things because like people have had the console, they've been developing it for a while. You have renewed interest because of services. You may have renewed interest because of hardware. Because I'll tell you this, for all the gamers that have bought things that don't want to see them be replaced because they don't want to buy something else, hardware rumors excite people. That's what gets clicks. That's what gets buzz. That's what gets news. You know, so like if we get some sort of hardware announcement for this year, or even if it's short after this year, that could create a whole new thing for these games, right? So it could just be like a convergence of a lot of things. This could be finally what feels like the first year maybe since Gears came out last time where Xbox has a really good exclusive year. Because what do we think about it? Crackdown, Ori, Gears Tactics, if it comes to Xbox. And then all the expansions, they could have some sort of Forza. They could have some sort of exclusive content like once every 6 to 8 weeks. We haven't had a year like that in Xbox space in a long time. Mm-hmm. And whether or not that applies to everybody is a different story. But still, like that's good. That's cadence. That's something. Which is last year we went 6-7 months without anything like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important.
And I think one thing that you mentioned before, talking about Nintendo, was one thing that you'd want to see is a core AAA great release from that first party once a quarter, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I like to see from every, platform exclusive holder.
100%. Yeah, no, exactly. Because, you buy that's the whole point of them having development, like without starting any type of Game Boy or gamer war, like the whole point of having internal development is to propagate the success of your own box. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft has kind of skated, they're doing this reboot kind of thing. They're turning the ship around. It takes time, but it looks like we're finally starting to get to the, in the new direction and things will start to ramp up again. And, we've talked about it already since EXO with all these studios they've brought on. Like the future's bright for this, and this looks like the start of that future. We finally start to get some things. I think they lean heavy on Gears and they rely on Gears this year. And then next year we start seeing some new things with Halo. I don't think Halo's this year. I think Halo's next year. But I think kind of like I'm kind of thinking we get a new box, we get a new Halo. I think it's kind of a new Halo. And then like it's kind of a new Xbox. Here's kind of a new everything from that point forward. And we kind of get to see Phil Spencer's Xbox going forward after that. So
I agree. So that sounds like a good spot to kind of wrap it up for this month. So before we close it out, I would like to thank, as always, our Patreon players, as I like to call them, our producers, Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, Devin Tyus, Kevin Austin, Chris M, Kyle Hyman, Joel Voss, who is Professor Switch, and Bonesaw. Bonesaw is ready. So, Donnie, final thoughts to close out this episode?
No, I just gave them. That was it. I can't say anything better than that.
Sounds good to me. And for me, I think that 2019 will be fun. I'm looking forward to all the great games coming out. And one last time, dear listener, if you don't have it already, Game Pass, get it. You're going to want it this year. I guarantee it. So that'll do it for us. You can find us on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, at, are you ready? The Xbox Empire. I kind of oversold it there a little bit. But we did change our Twitter handle, so we are now at The Xbox Empire. So come extend the conversation over there. Let us know what you thought, what you're looking forward to in 2019. And as always, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/PSVG. A lot of great content going out over there. We have some content everybody can view, and then we have some exclusive content like a little bit of a DLC, Donnie? DLC?
Yeah, that's good stuff. Did you enjoy the show?
Donnie's Love and Content, I'm going to call it. Yes, it's good. It's good stuff. So, yeah, that'll do it for us this month, players, boys and girls. We thank you for listening, and we hope that you enjoy everything on Xbox. This has been a PSVG production. Any music, sound effects, or the like is owned by their respective copyright holders. No infringement is intended. The views expressed in this production are those of the individual contributor and may not necessarily reflect PSVG. This production may not be repurposed, reused, or redistributed without the express written consent of PSVG. PSVG is powered by patrons at patreon.com/PSVG. Become a patron to get special perks, including access to exclusive content.